Hello, my name is Andrew Howard and I'm a Senior Process Development Engineer, and today I want to show you how to use the MeasureX software to perform basic measurements of features. Today we're going to be measuring a simple object, a razor blade. We're going to measure the width, length, maybe some radii, diameters. All right, let's get into it. This demo assumes that the software is up and running and that everything's working well. I'm going to move over to where I place the razor blade. One of the first things you might want to check here is your magnification. Right here I'm at 32x at the lowest magnification, but maybe you're really at a very high magnification. It's hard to find your part when you're at such a high magnification, so put that there to the lowest magnification to help find your part. Next, you might want to turn on some lighting. So I'm going to turn on some backlighting, and it looks like I got lucky. I already found the edge of my part. So I'm going to change my Z. As I'm changing my Z, because I do have a rotary on my stage, I'm making sure that I'm not going to crash onto that. Looking pretty good there. And using the joystick X, Y, and Z to find my part. All right, so let's see what I found here. I don't really know where I'm at. Oh, okay, so that is the edge of the blade right there. All right, so now I'm at the upper left part of this razor blade. All right, there's different lighting. Here's the back light. Here's the top light. And the first thing here that I'm noticing, or the next thing that I'm noticing, is that it's out of focus. So let me turn this knob here to focus. Say I wanted to make a measurement program and I wanted to make sure that that I'm really in focus, or maybe I'm just measuring one part one time, but I want to use an automatic tool to see if I'm in focus. So I'm going to turn off my top light, and I'm going to turn on my backlight so that the backlighting, you can see the percentage right here in the lower left-hand corner. Check to see if that percentage is between 50 and 70%. And so, yeah, 72%, that's nice. It's not too bright, not too dark. You can see on the glass stage there's some scratches in this region of my glass stage, so unfortunately that happens with SmartScopes as you use them. I'm going to use this automatic focus tool. You can see it right here. Also, this is a newish version of the software where you can see all the different parts of the software all on one screen. So there are older revisions of the software where you would just see this portion right here, and then you'd have to click on different tabs in order to see the model space, in order to see your program listing, in order to see the printout area. But this is a newer version where it is all in one screen here, nicely laid out. All right. I'm going to use this autofocus tool, left click on that, and you can resize this box to any size that you want. You can change the color of the different gauges right here. Yellow is fine by me. And what you do is you just left click anywhere on the stage and it'll perform an autofocus. So right there, it's saying that's in focus. And it's already starting to create a step in my program. I don't really want that because I am, if I were to click yes here, now I can't zero my X, Y, Z, and I want to do that. I want to take some basic measurements by zeroing out that X, Y, Z. And so I'm going to click New, Program, and get that going there. All right, next, I'm just gonna make sure that, all right, mic's on, good, just had to check. Next, now that I know that I'm in focus, I'm going to take this crosshair tool and I'm going to find the edge of my part. And I can find the edge of my part with the joystick here, and sometimes it takes some practice to really get good at the feel, because if you push really hard, you'll move really fast, and there's a feel to the joystick so that you're moving at just the right speed so that you can find your edge nicely. Take some practice. One trick that is kind of nice though, if this is challenging or just preference, I do prefer to right click on this image right here and drag the mouse, because it's just quite a bit more intuitive to right click and drag the mouse to position the crosshair. It's just more intuitive to do that. All right, I have my crosshair positioned. I'm now going to click on the X0. You can see here that zeroed out the X, and now I'm going to move to the other edge of my razor blade to find that, and right click here, and I'm measuring it right around here, 1 inch, 529 thou. All right, that's pretty good. However, it's sometimes nice to have a little bit more confidence in your data, and one way that we can do that is to have automated tools to capture points along your edge. So instead of the crosshair tool, I am going to use the feature finder, and I'm going to left click where I want to start my line for inspecting this edge, and I'm going to drag. Left click and drag. I'm going to drop that right there. And in this step of the program, there's a whole bunch of information here. You can see all the information here as well. I'm going to condense this because when I look at my program, I like to see it's visual, a lot of visual clutter if you don't click this condensed listing button there, just so that that's a little bit better to look at. All right, so I've got some good data on my edge. This edge is comprised of 10 points, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm getting some good data there. I'm going to click OK. When I click OK, now I'm starting to build a program here. And if I were to make a program where I'm going to be measuring a lot of different parts, I'm going to need to be a little bit more smart in how I build my program so that I'm creating origins, and so that when there's part-to-part variation, I'm able to accommodate for that variation within my program. But here I'm just measuring one part one time, so I don't care. I'm going to move to the other edge of my part, and I'm going to do the same thing. Left click and drag. And I've got my line right there. I'm pretty happy with that. I click OK. Now I need to measure the distance between these two lines. If you're going to do a line to point or a line to line measurement, doing that with the width tool is the way to go. So I'm going to left click both of these features here, and then I get a width. 1 inch, 529 thou. So my manual method of using crosshairs, my eyes were calibrated pretty well, getting a very similar measurement here. And I'm going to click OK. So now here you can see the size right there is my result. All right, what are some of these other tools here? So let's look at this circle tool. So the circle tool is nice if you're going to use a program and you want to start your program at a hole. This circle tool is a nice positioning feature where you can just manually position this at a feature that you want. And holes are nice because you're measuring, you have to position it in X and Y, so you're getting both of those components if you're centering this properly. So, all right, so with this circle tool, what I can do is I can left click and drag on the edge of my gauge here. I can adjust this slider bar to different radius and diameter measurements here, and it's looking like my diameter is around 96 thou. All right, great. So now I just took using this reticle tool, I'm manually measuring this feature. However, having an automatic gauge is just a better way to go when measuring anything on Measure X. This reticle is more intuitive, nicer to use, but let's use an automatic tool. So I'm going to use the feature finder again, but instead of left clicking and dragging to make a line, I'm instead going to left click. I'm going to left click to, and I'm not going to drag, and in that way it knows that I'm trying to measure an arc or a circle. So I do want to measure an arc. If I did want to measure a circle, I could left click on the dot right there, and it changes it to a circle, but I'm going to change it back to an arc because that's what I want to measure. All right, and there's my arc. If I want a diameter measurement versus a radius measurement, I can change that here. I've got 9 points on my circle. There are some slider bars right here, so let's mess around with that a little bit. I'm going to change this to 95, right? Click remeasure, and now, and this is just a random number between 0 and 100. Nothing terribly special about the numbers. But now I'm getting 25 points here. You can see that there are some holes here, and this has to do with the roundness of the data. There might be a little chunk of FM or some non-round characteristics of the feature here and here, and that's why it's not getting data right there. So if I did really want to get data there and have that be included, I can adjust this to be more rough. And click remeasure, and I got one more point there. Have it be more rough, and that says it doesn't want to include that one. All right, and I'm pretty happy with that diameter measurement, so I'm going to click OK. And those are some simple ways to take some measurements there. So let's do a line to circle. So a line to circle measurement. So I'm going to click my line. I'm going to click my circle. And the default when you're doing a line to circle is it's going to measure to the middle of the circle. But say you wanted it to measure to the edge, this edge or this edge of the circle, you would just change that to minimum to have it be the closest feature, or maximum to go on this side of the circle. All right, simple. I'm going to go back to best fit to go to the measure to the origin of the circle, and I'm happy with that. Click OK. All right, we're getting a couple of measurements here. Let's go to this edge of the circle. I'm going to use the feature finder here, create another line. I'm happy with that, click OK. Maybe there's some different features that we want to inspect though. So here's this edge, and what we have here is it's a darker muddy gray to a lighter muddy gray transition. And there's a texture difference here. So let's see if the line tool works all right on this. And it does. I have seen it mismeasure on similar features like this, but here it's measuring quite nicely. So I'm going to click OK to that. One thing that might be nice is to adjust the lighting here. I'm going to quickly go over that. If you click these, first I'm going to turn off the top lighting. I'm going to click these three dots, click power on, click adjust all to turn all of these slider bars down, and then I'm going to turn on just the outer ring. So this is a ring light where this diagram shows it quite nicely, where there's outer lights and there's inner lights and there's different quadrants as well. So I'm just turning on this outermost quadrant, and there's a different angle of incidence that the light is hitting the part with here, and we're seeing a different result. And so I'd be much more confident in measuring that right there. That's just a nicer measurement. I'm gonna click cancel to that. There are also instances where you only want the light to come from one angle, and I think with this part, just having it come from the most outer ring is working pretty well. But let's turn off some of these quadrants and rotate this around, and you can see that it's the lighting that's coming from the sides that's having the most impact, and actually it's just that quadrant and that quadrant that's having the most impact to get the lighting nice to illuminate this edge. So that even looks even better right there. Increase the lighting. You don't want this too high. If you do adjust this too much, you can start washing out your edges, and you don't want that. You don't want the edges to appear washed out. You want that real edge to measure to. So I'm going to adjust this so that it's a nicer level here. I'm seeing 70%. I'm not seeing any hundreds, so that's a nice level there. If you're ever at a point where you click the three buttons and you're at this point and you think, how do I get back where I'm seeing what I usually see over here? You have to click the three buttons again. That's the trick there. All right, now I can see the different features there. I've got my feature finder, and again, it's getting a pretty nice line there. All right, and you can see line 7 and line 8 are on top of each other. So if I want to measure a width here, you can left click right on the feature, and since they're so close, it'll ask you, oh, did you want line 7 or line 8? It gives you the option there, which is kind of nice. So yeah, say I wanted to measure the width of the edge portion of the razor blade. We've got a width there, and I can click OK to that. All right, maybe there's some other tools here, some different reticles. I'll go over that. There's this box tool. If sometimes I do use this for alignment of features, where say I wanted to, for some reason, align to the middle of this blade section. So then I'd align to the top and the bottom, and now I'm aligned to the middle of the blade section right there. And then I'm also getting a width here. You can see that in Y we're measuring 57 thou, which is close to this 56 thou that we got with the automatic tools. All right, there's concentric circles. So say you have two concentric circles. I mean, we don't have anything like that on this part, but let's, you could imagine how there might be two concentric circles here, and you can use this tool to align to the two concentric circles. All right, other features. Ooh, this angle one is actually quite useful. If there, well, let's see here. I do have some printing here on this part. So for this letter N, I can estimate the angle of this. And this is a very rough estimate. Of course, you'd want to do have a better reference plane than just right here. But it's estimated at 55 degrees. So that's a nice way to get some simple angle measurements. With your automatic tools, you can also get angle measurements there. In order to do that, you have to intersect lines. I'm going to construct an intersection between this automatic tool and this one. It did construct an intersection, and where our razor blade is off by 0.03 degrees. So almost 90 degrees, not quite. And I'm going to click OK to that. All right, what else do we want to, because I want to cover all the tools here. Point entry tool, that's more so for programming. There are different reticles. This one's kind of interesting. I don't know if, I don't really find that terribly helpful. Ditto on that, not extremely helpful. Sometimes I'll use this if I'm trying to do a circle with an angle on it. Pretty rare though. These are your focus tools. So focus, advanced autofocus, feature finder, we've covered that one. Don't really use strong edge, minimum edge, average edge. So this is, these tools are for finding points. So it's just going to get a point. That's not super awesome for me. I typically, when I have an edge, I want to collect several points. There are, and with this, it is kind of showing a mountain peak right here, or a peak on your part, where it'll find the maximum point. I find the algorithm to be slightly inconsistent. It works most of the time, but I don't know. The rest of these I'll cover under a future video where there's more focused on programming. But for basic measurements where you're sitting down in front of the system, you're not making a measurement program, you're just simply measuring your part, slapping your part down, get a few measurements, perhaps you're performing some sort of qualification on some tooling. This is an excellent way, or some quick measurements. Yeah, let me see, press cancel to that. The crosshair tool is the bread and butter of that, where you're just going to an edge, zeroing out your Z or your X, sorry, and then getting a quick measurement. That's how I often see people use the system. And I want to say that covers basic use of the SmartScope. Hopefully that is helpful. And let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, take care.